You ever been in a room so quiet you could hear your own heartbeat? That's what it felt like when little Emma, barely 5, with tangled blonde hair and a dress 2 sizes too big, shuffled up to the judge's bench in a packed Maplewood courtroom. Everyone froze, lawyers, spectators, even the air itself, as this tiny girl looked up at Judge Margaret Lawson, a woman who'd been chained to a wheelchair for 4 years after a brutal car crash, and said, clear as day, "Judge, ma'am, if you let my dad go, I swear I can make you walk again." The place exploded, gasps, whispers, a few snickers from the back. Some folks thought Emma was just a kid spinning fairy tales. Others pitied her, figuring she didn't get how the world works. But Margaret? She didn't laugh. Her eyes locked on Emma's, those big blue eyes sparkling like they held a secret the rest of us couldn't see. And for the first time in years, Margaret felt something stir, hope, maybe, or something crazier. Let me take you back to how this wild moment came to be. 3 weeks earlier, Tom Harper was just a regular guy, a mechanic in Maplewood, scraping by to raise Emma alone after his wife passed from cancer when Emma was 2. Emma wasn't like other kids. She had this lung condition, cystic fibrosis, that had hit her hard, especially in winter. Nights were rough, with her coughing till she could barely breathe, Tom holding her close, humming old lullabies to calm her down. The meds she needed? Cost a fortune, more than Tom's paycheck could cover. He'd already sold his truck, his tools, even his wedding band to keep her alive. But one freezing February morning, Emma woke up burning with fever, her breath shallow, her eyes half closed. "Daddy, it hurts," she whispered, and Tom's heart shattered. He had $12 left, not enough for the pharmacy, and the hospital wouldn't see her without insurance. Desperate, Tom called his boss, Joe, begging for an advance. "Man, I'd help if I could," Joe said, voice flat, "but rules are rules." That night, with Emma barely hanging on, Tom made a choice no father wants to make. He kissed her forehead, tucked her in, and walked out into the cold, straight to the 24-hour pharmacy on Oak Street. His hands shook not from the chill, but from fear as he slipped a bottle of Emma's meds into his jacket. He'd never stolen a thing in his life, but love makes you do crazy things. Right as he reached the door, a security guard, big guy, stern but not cruel, grabbed his arm. "Empty your pockets, buddy," he said. Tom's world collapsed. "Please," he choked out, "my daughter's dying." The guard's eyes softened, but he shook his head. "Can't let you walk, man. Cops are on their way." By morning, Tom was in cuffs, the town buzzing with gossip. The local HOA, led by a nosy busybody named Karen Walsh, who'd always had it out for Tom since he missed a few lawn-mowing deadlines, pushed the narrative that he was a dangerous thief. Karen, with her clipboard and her smug smirk, told anyone who'd listen, "This is why we need order. People like Tom ruin our community." But MS. Clara, the kind old neighbor who'd taken Emma to the hospital that night, saw through the noise. She got Emma the meds, but the doctors said Emma might end up in foster care if Tom didn't beat the charges. Enter Judge Margaret Lawson, a no-nonsense woman who'd seen it all in her 20 years on the bench. She'd lost more than her legs in that crash, her hope, her spark, all buried under the weight of her wheelchair. Tom's trial was packed. The town split between those who saw him as a desperate dad and those, like Karen, who wanted him locked up. The prosecutor, a slick guy named Ethan Blake, leaned hard into the law. "Mr. Harper stole, plain and simple," he said, adjusting his tie like he was posing for a photo. "We can't let sob stories tear down justice." Tom's public defender, a frazzled woman named Lisa, fought back, pleading his case as a father pushed to the edge, but Margaret's face stayed stone cold until Emma walked in. The courtroom doors creaked open, and there was Emma, holding Ms. Clara's hand, her eyes scanning for her dad. When she saw Tom, she broke free, ran to him, and threw her arms around his neck. "Daddy, I knew you'd be here," she cried, and Tom, tears streaming, whispered, "I'm so sorry, kiddo." The bailiff moved to stop her, but Margaret raised a hand. "Let her be," she said, her voice softer than anyone expected. Then Emma did the unthinkable. She turned to Margaret, climbed up to the bench, and made her promise. "Judge, ma'am," she said, hands on the wood, "my dad's a good man. He just wanted me to breathe again. I can feel your sadness. I can see it in your heart. Let him go, and I'll help you walk." The room lost it. Ethan shouted objections. Karen scoffed loudly, but Margaret just stared at Emma, feeling a warmth she hadn't known since before her accident. Against every rule in her book, she made a call that shocked everyone. "Mr. Harper," she said, "I'm delaying your sentencing for 30 days. If your daughter can keep her promise, you walk free. If not, you'll face worse contempt, the works." Tom's jaw dropped, hope and fear mixing in his eyes. Emma just smiled, like she already knew how this would end. Over the next week, Emma and Margaret met at the town park, feeding ducks, sharing stories. Emma got Margaret to dance with her arms, laughing by the pond, and for the first time in years, Margaret felt alive. But then disaster struck. Margaret's wheelchair tipped, she hit her head, and landed in the ICU, unconscious. The town whispered, Karen gloated, and Tom feared the worst. At the hospital, Emma begged to see her. "Her spirit's lost, Daddy," she said, calm as ever. "I can bring it back." Against all rules, Dr. Ellis, Margaret's doctor, let her in. Emma sat by the bed, held Margaret's hand, and whispered, "Judge, ma'am, remember the ducks, remember dancing, your heart's still there, it's just scared." And then, like something out of a movie, Margaret's eyes fluttered open. She gasped, looked at Emma, and whispered, "You called me back." Days later, her legs twitched. Impossible, the doctors said, but real. 3 weeks later, Margaret walked into court, cane in hand, to cheers. She dropped Tom's charges, got him a job at the hospital, and looked at Emma. "You taught me miracles happen when love beats fear," she said. Months later, at Margaret's wedding to Dr. Ellis, Emma scattered petals, and Margaret danced slow, but real. The town learned something that day. A kid's faith can change everything. So, what do you think? Can love really pull off miracles? Or was this just luck? Drop your thoughts below, share this story if it hit you, and let's talk about what justice really means when a community's divided.